Hello out there, dear parents and students. Greeting you all in Jesus' name, a blessed, joyful, and a beautiful day. We are glad to say that God is so good to us in these trying times. Thanks also to social media that we could able to reach out, connect, and share to you matters regarding our church school, the Pag-ibig Christian Academy Incorporated, or as we know, PCAI. God is really so good to us in these trying times, wherein educators are overwhelmed with challenges on how to deliver the learning modalities to students. And we could say that we are not left behind. Our students are not left behind, for God already provided us this kind of learning procedures. What is new normal has always been normal to school of tomorrow. So without much ado, in behalf of Pag-ibig Christian Academy Management, welcome you all, especially the new enrollees. Now I present to you the Pag-ibig Christian Academy history. Known as PCAI, it is a church school ministry of Pag-ibig Christian Ministries Incorporated, which was founded in 1989 using Accelerated Christian Education or School of Tomorrow curriculum, also known as ACE or SOT. It is a non-profit, non-stock corporation providing quality Christian education from pre-elementary, elementary to junior high school, with permit and recognition granted by the Department of Education. PCAI was organized with the purpose of educating and or training the children of pastors, workers, and brethren, but now it caters also other children of non-members. Formerly, the church hall was used as the learning center. Then in 1996, after 7 years of struggling, a kubo was built, but in 1997, after our faith was challenged, a one-story building was constructed on the opposite lots. God bless the owner of the lots. Last May 2003, a hurricane or Ipo heavily hit and damaged the roof of the school building. Yet God opens another door of enlarging its tent. The lot at the back of the school is now PCAI's property, a fulfillment of one of the visions and expansion to be used by the students. Another test of faith was when the owner of the lot died, that his heirs retrieved the lots. Though we prayed and fasted, it seems to no avail. We have to move out. But praise God, His plan and will for us was to use the lot beside the church. And the owner was glad to allow us construct the church building, the church school building. Now, it's not only rented, but in the last 3 years ago, as we're praying to the Lord to buy the lot, which is one of the requirements of DepEd, isa pong kapatiran na hinipo ng Panginoon na nagbigay ng halaga na pang-down doon sa may-ari. Na hinipo rin naman ng Panginoon ang may-ari ng lote na ito na ibigay sa atin ng rent-to-own. Soon, it will be fully paid. Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord. And now we have peace and joyfully doing the divine task of educating and training the students in His ways. Thanks, God.
From the time they're infants, children rely on parents to provide for their most essential needs. God creates each child as a unique individual with specific emotional, spiritual, and educational requirements. Each child requires an education geared to his individual needs, an education that recognizes his unique background, abilities, and talents. An education that focuses on character development as an essential part of his growth. Children in our generation need to be grounded in biblical principles and values. They need to have godly character traits instilled within them. And School of Tomorrow has developed a program to meet these needs. Most schools look alike: buildings, personnel, curriculum, and budgets. The School of Tomorrow program is different. It's designed to consider each child's individual needs. Unlike the conventional lockstep program, School of Tomorrow utilizes the philosophy of controlled, motivated learning, which focuses on the individual child. This educational concept is based upon the proven 5 laws of learning. As learning law number 1 states, the pupil must be on a level of curriculum where he can perform. For example, all 12-year-olds don't wear the same size clothing, and all 12-year-olds aren't ready for the same grade level of curriculum. The average 12-year-old may have a mental maturity anywhere from age 9 to age 16 and yet be perfectly normal. The child's reading vocabulary may range anywhere from the 3rd to 12th grade level. Chronological age only tells you when a child was born. Ability, not age, must determine the academic performance level and the curriculum assignment. Just as a doctor diagnoses a patient's physical needs before prescribing treatment, so each student's academic needs are diagnosed before curriculum can be prescribed. Each child is placed in the School of Tomorrow curriculum according to need and ability, not according to chronological age. In a conventional classroom, the student generally receives 1 textbook per subject for an entire year. In contrast, School of Tomorrow takes the concept of a textbook and divides it into 12 self-instructional units called PACES. PACES include informative text and interactive activities. Each PACE is a bite-sized, achievable learning objective that's usually completed within 2 to 3 weeks. When the child enters a learning center using the School of Tomorrow curriculum, he's given PACES to cover those concepts missed. When he has mastered this material, he then begins his prescribed level of studies. Learning Law number 2 states, the pupil must set reasonable goals that he can achieve in a prescribed period of time. In the School of Tomorrow program, individual achievement is not an accident. It's a planned objective. Emphasis on individual goal setting is a unique feature of the School of Tomorrow program. Each morning, the student can look at his academic calendar and see where he is and where he is going. He can visualize his progress. He makes note of the goals he set for himself the day before and begins his work. Goals are checked daily by his teacher to ensure academic achievement. As this procedure is repeated day after day, goal setting can become the student's habit for life. The 3rd law of learning states, the pupil must be controlled and motivated to assimilate, use, or experience the material. By design, an individualized learning center has a unique system of built-in controls. Each student is assigned a personal workstation called an office. Teachers are called supervisors and function in a supervisory and tutorial capacity, moving from child to child, continually inspiring achievement. The supervisor can work with the individual student's capabilities regardless of age, intellect, or academic performance level. To receive assistance, students simply raise a flag. Staff are there to help students on a one-on-one basis. Periodically, a student goes to a scoring station where he checks or scores his answers. He doesn't wait for the supervisor to score his work. He scores his own daily exercises and thereby receives immediate feedback. He then returns to his office to study the material and to correct his wrong answers before returning to the scoring station to rescore. Because the program frees the supervisor to work with students individually, there is no need for a child to ask embarrassing questions in front of his peers. Learning Law number 4 states, the pupil's learning must be measurable. In the School of Tomorrow curriculum, every student masters each concept before he advances. Mastery-based education prevents learning gaps and provides a solid foundation. Both the printed PACE curriculum and interactive multimedia software contain text, learning activities, checkups, a self-test, and a final PACE test. These help guide the student throughout the learning process. When a student completes a PACE, he reviews the PACE. He then takes the self-test or pre-test, which is designed to determine if he is ready for the final PACE test. If the student has mastered the material, he will take the final PACE test the following day, not when the supervisor or class is ready, but when he is ready. In the School of Tomorrow program, if the student scores below the required percentage for mastery, there's a safety net. He receives a new PACE and repeats that unit of work until he masters it. Only then does he move on to the next PACE. Learning Law Number 5 states, the pupil's learning must be rewarded. People thrive on achievement, and children are no exception. Upon receiving a passing score on the final PACE test, the student receives a star to be placed on his progress chart, and he also receives a congratulations slip. He then goes on to the next PACE in sequence. The 5 laws of learning are the basis of School of Tomorrow's educational strategy. With individualized learning, students don't just get by, they get ahead. Whether the student is a high achiever or a moderate-paced learner, he proceeds through the School of Tomorrow curriculum at the level determined by his own ability. Individualization makes it possible for each student to master each subject before moving on. They can find practical, biblical solutions to life's problems. In addition to individualization, the School of Tomorrow program strategically incorporates biblical values. 60 ideal biblical character traits are interwoven throughout the curriculum in such a way as to become life-shaping influences. These character values, taken from both the Old and New Testaments, are highlighted in PACE cartoon sections, as well as visual illustrations. Students are taught to see life from God's point of view and to walk in maturity and wisdom. Believing that reading is the doorway to success, School of Tomorrow incorporates a proven phonics method in its beginning reading courses. When children are diagnosed as ready to read, they are placed into School of Tomorrow's ABCs with AC and Christie program. This phonics-based Learning to Read program opens the world of letter sounds and words to eager young minds. In addition to School of Tomorrow's focus on reading development, the entire program has been structured to develop and refine all 6 areas of critical thinking skills: knowledge, comprehension, application, analysis, synthesis, and evaluation. Nearly every PACE in some way builds critical thinking skills that prepare students to be independent thinkers and creative problem solvers. Because students learn differently, either visually, auditorially, or kinesthetically. School of Tomorrow has become an international phenomenon, with more than 7,000 schools using the program in over 125 countries. Over 950 colleges and universities around the world have accepted graduates from schools using School of Tomorrow materials. These students go on to higher education and into business and professional pursuits with confidence in God, a proper self-esteem, and a superb educational background. School of Tomorrow, a learning process focused on the unique concept of individualization, supported by curriculum that unapologetically incorporates biblical values. The result is academic excellence, the very best in education. These 3 distinctives set School of Tomorrow apart from other educational programs.
Blessed day po sa inyo lahat, beloved parents and guardians. Welcome to Pag-ibig Christian Academy. So we are very thankful in advance for new parents and guardians who choose to enroll their children in Pag-ibig Christian Academy. And to the old-timers, thank you for your continuous patronizing our school, the Pag-ibig Christian Academy. You know, Christian education is not an alternative. It is not a luxury. It is not an idea. It is not even a choice, but it is the law of God. It is the law of God that He gave to our forefathers, and the same law that He now give us to have these great commandments. Upon enrollment of your children, you become a bona fide member of this family, of our school family, supporting us in training their lives and be our partner in establishing the good and the right future for your children. For the Bible said in Proverbs 22, verse 6, to train up your child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. What is the best way to train up your children? Is it by your own way, by the parents' way? No way. If you want your children to be supportive and obedient sa inyo, we must train them the Lord's way. Yun po ang tamang pagtrain po ng mga mag-aaral. Thank you for trusting us and being our school partners in training, molding, and building up your children's lives and future. And by this, I would like to emphasize this, that you are bounded by certain agreements with our school. And these agreements are the following, na dapat po natin sundin habang narito po ang inyong mga anak. Number 1, to check and supervise your children's studies at home. So tayo po nasa ibang pamaraan na edukasyon at wala po tayong choice but to abide by what was being dictated by the tempo in these times of crisis. So, magkapartner po tayo, kami, ang mga teacher, at kayo dyan sa inyong tahanan. Number 2, to attend all meetings as scheduled by the school. You are therefore mandated by the law of this school to attend all the prescribed meetings. Wala pong absent, wala pong excuses. Lalo na po sa sistema po ng edukasyon ngayon, kailangan po ang 101% cooperation ng mga parents, guardians. Sana man po mga hinihiling na kautosan po ng school academy. Number 3, to promptly respond when called for a conference meeting with a teacher or principal. Pag kayo po ay nakatanggap ng isang letter request or mandate from the school, huwag po ninyo ipagwalang bahala or take for granted lang. Karaka-raka, magtungo po kayo sa specified hour and day na kayo po ay pinapupunta ng school administrator or teachers, sapagkat hindi po yan gagawin kung hindi napakahalaga ang meeting na magaganap. So remember, promptly respond when called for a conference or meeting with a teacher or the principal. Number 4, to support the school projects and activities to give your children moral support. Huwag din po natin pagwawalang bahala ang pagsuporta sa lahat po ng mga school projects na pinapagawa po sa mga mag-aaral, sa inyong mga anak, sa inyong mga pinag-aaral. 100% cooperation is a must, sapagkat yun po ay napakahalagang moral booster sa inyong mga anak sa kanilang pag-aaral. Naalala ko po, short sharing lang, nung araw, nung nag-graduate po ako sa high school, sa probinsya, yun pa naman pinaka-importanting araw, graduation, at may honor naman ang inyong lingkod. Hindi po yung mga magulang ko nagsabit sa akin, kundi isang father. Kaya, yun po, hindi po, I have no hard feeling with my parents kasi nasa business concern po sila. Pero sa panahon po ngayon, ay dapat po ay susuportahan po ninyo ang inyong mga pinag-aaral. To support the school projects and activities and to give your children moral support. Ikalima po, number 5, to strictly adhere to school rules and regulations set forth by the church school. when you enter into or choose to enroll your children here, para po dun sa mga bagong mga parents or guardians, kayo po ay kasama na ma-agree dun sa laws of rules and regulation ng school. Therefore, ang bawat magulang or guardians binibigyan po ng mga supporting or pamphlets kung saan nandun po yung mga rules. At dapat po ay mag-strictly adhere po tayo sa school rules. Do not compare school. Kung halimbawa galing po sa dating school, sa ibang school, yung inyong estudyante o inyong mga anak. But we are after enforcing our own school guidelines. Remember po, strictly adhere to our school rules. Number 6, to faithfully comply financial responsibility to support the church school needs. For example, the tuition fees. Yan. At alam naman po ninyo na anuman pong mga establishment, korporasyon, kumpanya, at kasama na po, hindi pa na ibang school dyan, kung ano po yung ating financial obligation, huwag po natin kalimutan. At especially on time, sapagkat lalo na po sa panahon ngayon na very limited lang ang enrollment, lalo na sa mga private school. And we are operating in a very limited resources, so kailangan po natin ang cooperation ng inyong mga magulang as far as financial concern is at the stake. So, yan po ang mga guidelines na in-expect po namin na makikipag-cooperate po kayo upang sundin ang lahat ng ito. And others will be explained to you by the teachers and the principal of the school. So, again, in Proverbs 22 verse 6, train up the child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it. I said this from my heart that when you choose this school, na kung saan i-enroll po ninyo inyong mga anak, yan po ay isang best decision ninyo sa buhay po ninyo sapagkat it is a mandate from God to train your children the way he should go. Not by the law of not by the law of the government, but by the laws of God. So maraming salamat po at stay and makinig po kayo sa mga ibang mga concern na alam kong in-expect ninyo marinig sa ating mga principal, mga teachers, at other speaker. God bless you po. Puri't walatin ng Diyos. Pagpalain kayo sa inyong buhay.
Please be informed of the following. Letter A, learning delivery modalities for school year 2020 to 2021. This school year, PCAI will use the Remote Learning Center Education, known as RLCE, through modular and online delivery modes. This refers to a learning delivery modality where learning takes place between the teacher and the learners who are geographically remote from each other during instruction. Ibig sabihin, malayo, katulad ng hinihiling at sinasabi na kailangan walang face-to-face. So nasa bahay at ang mga teachers nandito sa school. It involves individualized instruction that allows learners to use self-learning modules, SLMS, or what we call PACES, in print or digital format and or electronic copy, whichever is applicable in the context of the learner, and other learning resources like learners' materials, textbooks, activity sheet, study guides, and other study materials. The learners may ask assistance from the teacher via Zoom, telephone, text message, and or instant messaging, etc. Letter B, Remote Learning Center Education. What it is? The Remote Learning Center Education is School of Tomorrow, registered Philippines, is modified, alternative, and flexible system of learning in response to the new normal brought about by the global COVID-19 pandemic. It is an alternative mode of education which takes place through different communication means like online or correspondence, where students do not have to be physically present in a particular location for face-to-face interaction. Remote, simply defined, means distant in face-to-face relationship or connection. Partnership with parents is still continued and even more reinforced. So, dear parents, your cooperation, unity, and support ay talaga pong kailangan dito para ma-achieve natin ang goal at maging successful po ang lahat ng ito at para sa ating mga anak. The procedures which can be modified will depend on the LGU's precautionary measures, whereas school using the system is located and the capacity of the school. It is a temporary arrangement to address social distancing concerns which will be applied while waiting for a concrete solution to the COVID-19 crisis. The RLCE has recommended modifications depending on the school's capacity and LGU location restrictions. Quality standards, that is, following the non-negotiables, are religiously observed rather than weakened. It is a temporary modification of SOT and/or ACE's learning center procedures. Schools are strongly enjoined to set up advanced guidelines through the COVID-19 crisis, be resolved within the school year, which should be clearly communicated to all stakeholders involved. Let us see what it is not. The RLCE is not home schooling. So pakinggan po nating mabuti ang pagpapaliwanag tungkol dito para lubos po nating maintindihan at maunawaan ano bang kaibahan ng RLCE sa homeschooling. Homeschooling is an exclusive ministry of the Philippine Christian School of Tomorrow Home Education Program, known as PCST Home Education Program, formerly Living Heritage Academy. The PCST HEP works under permit with the Department of Education as a homeschool provider. Parents enroll their children, parents are trained, and they supervise the learning of their children at home. So, ito pong homeschooling, ang kaparaanan po dito ay dinadala ang estudyante, ang kanilang mga anak, doon mismo sa headquarters ng PCST, kung saan doon nila i-enroll ang kanilang mga anak at ititrain po ang mga magulang. Parang katulad din po ng mga supervisors and monitors and the staff of the school. So, ang parents po ay ititrain din. And they supervise the learning of their children at home. So, doon po sa bahay, sila ang talagang nagsusupervise, nagmamanage doon sa learning ng kanilang mga anak. In homeschooling, the learning center setup is done entirely as a family. At least one parent is expected to work as the supervisor of their students. They have score keys and pace test and keys. The parents do all the work of the supervisor and monitor, from goal checking to testing to recording. So lahat po ng trabaho at mga ini-implement na learning procedure ay talagang ito po ay on process na iti-train po ang parents para properly na ma-implement po o magawa po sa homeschooling ng kanilang mga anak. So they coordinate with the assigned academic advisors from the PCST HEP office. And number 2, the RLCE implementation is not a whole year arrangement. The RLCE is a temporary modification of the SOT and or ACE's learning center procedures. Schools are strongly enjoined to set up advanced guidelines should the COVID-19 crisis be resolved within the school year, which should be clearly communicated to all stakeholders involved. So, magandang araw po. Maraming pong salamat.
Good morning, dear parents. I am Mrs. SENEN GAMBOA. Okay. The new normal, remote learning center education. So, what remains the same are non-negotiables. Letter A, School of Tomorrow's Philippines, enduring philosophy of learning. So, pandemic man or non-pandemic, it is our mandate to educate our children from a biblical perspective. Okay, sa pananaw ng ating Bible o yung Biblia. Christian education is the law of God. It is the law that He gave our forefathers, and it is the same law that He now give to us. So, itong law na to, ibinigay sa ating forefathers hanggang sa ating henerasyon at sa susunod pang henerasyon. So, it is the great commandment. Mahalagang utos o kautusan ito para sa atin ng ating Panginoong Diyos. So, number 2, what remains the same? Distinctives. Letter A, under distinctives, individualized. Recognizing the uniqueness of each individual, any school using the system does not place any student in a grade level based on age. Rather, each incoming student is given a diagnostic placement test on each major academic area and prescribed curriculum accordingly. The student is given material based on his own capabilities and advances throughout the curriculum in the same manner at any given time. Therefore, each student masters concepts that are challenging but not overwhelming. Okay, so yung pong ating mga estudyante ay minamaster nila ang kanilang mga lessons, yung concepts ng kanilang academic areas na kanilang lessons. And then, yun yung mga challenging lessons but not overwhelming. Okay. So, under distinctives, mastery-based. The self-instructional materials come complete with their own methodology and procedures. So, yung pamamaraan, methodology, method, designed to help the child master each concept studied. The constant review and repetition made possible through a low student-staff ratio provides for a very high rate of retention, broadening the knowledge of the student as he progresses in the curriculum. The student does not advance without mastering at least 90% of the material he is studying. So, mastery-based. Minamaster ng bawat estudyante ang kanilang mga lesson bago sila mag-pace test. Para sa ganun, mag-sink in sa kanilang isipan at sa kanilang puso ang kanilang pinag-aralan. Okay. Under distinctives, letter C, character building. Because the system seeks to prepare students for life with a vision of making them future leaders. Take note, future leaders of our nation. Nation na pinag-uusapan mga parents. Character building principles are integrated in every academic subject and all levels of the curriculum. With Jesus Christ as the model, 90 identifiable character traits are defined and explained through scripture verses, stories, and illustrations. The student is exposed to all 90 character traits at every level of the curriculum, which are further emphasized as character-based awards from part of the school's incentive system. So, meron po ako ditong paste na kung saan ay i-issue sa inyong mga anak. At itong paste na to, dito naka-integrate yung character traits, mga minamahal namin mga magulang. So naka-integrate na po yung character traits sa bawat lessons or phases or yung subject ng inyong mga anak. Okay. And the next one, distinctives, letter D, Bible-based. The School of Tomorrow system is built on the Bible truth that God has a purpose for each child and that this purpose is best known and accomplished through acknowledge of God's Word. The Bible, therefore, is not introduced as another subject but is central to the whole system. Each academic area is studied from God's perspective, math as principles of God's order, language as God's gift to communicate to Him and to others, and then social studies as God's sovereignty over all history, and science as God's design in creation. So, dito po sa ating dala kong page, dito po naka-integrate yung Word of God o yung scripture verse na ini-issue sa kanilang page. Okay, so dito naka-integrate mga kapatid yung Word of God sa kanilang module. Okay, next, what remains the same are non-negotiables. Number 3, role of parents. So what is the role of parents? In Ephesians 6:4, God commands the fathers to bring their children up in the training and instruction of the Lord. While in Matthew 28 verses 9 to 20, Jesus commanded His disciples to go and make disciples of all nations, which includes children, teaching them to obey everything I have commanded you. In the light of such biblical imperatives, the School of Tomorrow's Philippines system acknowledges the primary role of parents, discipling and educating their children, and applying biblical discipline. Any member of the family or other stakeholder in the community needs to serve as para-teachers. Thus, the cheerful cooperative involvement and partnership of parents with their child's school is a must. So, amin pong hiniling ang inyong kooperasyon, yung partnership sa ating school, church school. Kaya, mga kapatid, yan po ang inaasahan namin din sa inyo. Okay, so what are the distinctives of our new normal learning? Number 1 is individualized. Number 2 is mastery-based. Number 3 is character building. And number 4 is biblical-based. So, what remains the same? School of Tomorrow's Philippines, enduring philosophy of learning, distinctives, and last, role of parents. So, beloved parents, other schools may stop, but learning never stops when we use the School of Tomorrow system and curriculum. So, may the good Lord bless and guide you.
For our ABCs of ACE with AC and Christie, here are the general guidelines and procedures. We will be using 2 platforms. The first platform is Zoom. We will be using this for our online classes, and for our second one is for the activity and output submission, which is the easyclass.com. Students are given link daily. The link will be sent by the supervisor to the parents or students group chat so that it would be easy for them to have access by just clicking it. Opening exercises, morning routines, animal story, and sounds will be done daily from 7:30 to 8:50 a.m. The students are expected to be online via Zoom by 7:20 a.m. every day. Note, each quarter has different class programs. So as you can see here, this is the first quarter class program. You will see here the online and the offline. When we see online, this is the task of the supervisor. And when you see the offline, it means it is the task of the parents or the guardians at home. Students should be dressed in uniform, Monday through Thursday, school uniform, and Friday in PE uniform, to have a mindset that they are going to do school work. Checkups can be done at home, but with permission of the supervisor, to be assisted by the parents or guardians. After answering checkups, parents will then take a picture of the page and send to Easy Class. By the way, the Easy Class, parents, I'm going to send to you a link in your email address, so you need to provide me your email addresses for me to send to you the link of that Easy Class website. And you will be asked for the code, but I'm going to provide the code for you to enter in that website. PACE test will be done orally in this subject that I'm going to state: the word building and the alphabetong Filipino. Why we're going to do an oral PACE test in word building and alphabetong Filipino? It's because there are words there to be read by the pupils or by your children. I'm going to assist them and see if they can read it already. Other PACE test subject will be a pen and paper test. Congratulations slip and also the Star Kid Award will be posted online once a week. As a while ago, I told you that we have this website, the easyclass.com, so I'm going to post it in there. And also all the outputs that you are going to be sent to me. This will be every Friday. Last 40 minutes of the program will be for review of the lessons, checking of works, and closing. I've listed here the tasks of the supervisor and the parents and guardians. For the supervisor, welcomes the children. For the parents or guardians, set up the gadget to be used in online class. Supervisor, discuss the lesson. For the parents and guardians, while we are on online class or the class is ongoing, parents or guardians will assist their child to pay attention, and the supervisor will give the instruction. And for the parents and guardians, they will also listen to the instruction in order to assist the child. For number 4, task of the supervisor, give the goals or to-do task. And for the parents and guardians, assist the child to do the task or the goals. And for the supervisor, review and check the goals. For the parents and guardians, send their child's output in the website easyclass.com. This time, parents will submit to the supervisor the task that they already accomplished. That is our N1. But anyway, I will give the list of to-do tasks first or the goals. And then if your child already done that, you will go to send it in our website, the easyclass.com. So hope these guidelines helped you to start our school year 2020-2021. See you all there. God bless you. Good morning, everyone. Now let's proceed to the setting up your own learning center at home. First, parents must devote a learning space at home, free from distractions, to make it conducive for learning once classes start. We encourage all the parents to please provide a workplace for your children. So, hindi lamang po basta paupuin natin sila sa isang tabi or tas nandiyan po nakabukas ang television. Hindi po. During class hours, kailangan meron po silang isang workplace, designated place kung saan po sila mag-aaral. Without any distractions po. Number 2, parents must secure a desktop computer hooked with webcam, speaker, and mic. It is very difficult to make remote learning work just by using your cell phone. Okay, question po. Yung ibang mga parents nagtatanong, Ma'am, kasi napakamahal naman po kung bibili kami ng ganyang gadgets. Okay, ganito po. Since we will be using the remote learning center education, kailangan po, pwede din naman pong cellphones, pero kailangan yung angle or yung angulo na nakikita po namin sila while they are doing their pace work. Kasi yun po yung ating magiging setup this school year. Sa bahay po sila nagpe-pace, pero kami po mga teachers, kami pa rin po ang mag-supervise sa kanila. So, kung wala naman po talagang kakayanan to provide for a desktop computer or any laptop or any gadgets, kahit po cellphone, we will allow. Basta kita po namin yung mga anak ninyo na nagpe-pace work. Naintindihan po ba? Next, for the general guidelines and procedures for elementary and secondary level, kasama na po dito yung ating mga junior high school. The first one is, students are given Zoom or Google Meet link daily. The link will be sent by the supervisor to the parents or to the students' group chat so that it would be easy for them to have access by just clicking it. Okay, every day, the students are expected to be online by 7:45 in the morning daily. Hindi po pwedeng 7:50 or 8 o'clock, 7:45. Kailangan po nakaabang na po sila before 7:45 because we will be sending the link para po ma-proceed na natin yung remote learning. Next, routine flag ceremony, pledges, and morning devotion will be done daily from 8 to 8:30 a.m. That's why 7:45, kailangan naka-online na po sila para may preparation po kami, and then comes 8 o'clock in the morning, doon na po mag-start ang ating flag ceremony. Each remote learning center will start checking attendance at exactly 8:30 a.m. every day. Ma'am, 8:30 pa po pala ang pag-check na attendance. Pwede ho ba mga 8 o'clock na kami mag-online? Okay, 8:15, hindi po. Kailangan po exact 8 o'clock, start na po tayo. Now, students are required to be dressed in uniform. So, hindi naman po pwedeng porkit nasa bahay po tayo, ay nakapambahay lang po ang mga bata. And then, pag Friday, PE uniform. The students should be groomed as though ready to go out. Wearing appropriate clothing, students are to have a mindset that they are going to do school work. Kasi po, iba pa rin kapag yung naka-uniform sila, mafe-feel ng mga bata na, ay, nag-aaral pa rin po kami kahit nasa bahay. I hope you got my point, mga parents po natin. Okay, for every passed PACE test, the children or the students will be receiving a congratulations slip. Okay, this will be posted online once a week, every Friday. However, students will still be recognized daily during our online morning exercises. Kapag meron pong nakatapos ng PACE test, every day, i-recognize po namin sila. So, pero yung kanila pong congratulations slip, it will be posted online or in our school Facebook page every Friday. Now, for the supervising and monitoring, what would be our school staff's roles? Ano po yung aming magiging trabaho kahit po kami ay hindi kasama ng inyong mga anak? Our remote learning center education does not take away the role of our supervisors and monitors, and it actively involves the parents and guardians in the process of learning at home. Inspiring achievement is still the number one responsibility of learning center staff, whether in remote mode or not.
The teacher takes the responsibility of monitoring the progress of the learners. Thus, in a remote learning center education setup, supervisors will still supervise and monitors will still monitor. Supervisors and monitors will be divided into 3 departments. For the pre-elementary, headed by Teacher Rain or Ma'am Rain. For the elementary education, by yours truly. And for the junior high school, with Sir ROMMEL LACOPIA. Supervisors and monitors will supervise the students from 8 a.m. to 12 noon, Mondays to Fridays. This will give ample time to have students get a healthy number of hours of sleep and get them to do household chores and prepare themselves for class. Ma'am, bakit po hanggang alas 12 lang ang klase nila? Okay, since i-apply po natin yung flexible learning, this first quarter, we will be using the 7 curriculum subject ng PACES. Pure PACES po muna sila. I hope i-discuss po ito later. Pure PACES po sila. Wala po muna tayong mini classes for the MAPE, TLE, HELEC, Computer, and CVE. So, obviously, it could be done until 12 noon. At para rin po may enough time kasi sa studies po ng mga psychologists, hindi po advisable na matagal na nasa screen time ang mga bata. So, i-apply po natin yon para po sa ating ikabubuti na ating mga anak. Supervisors and monitors will still do goal checking daily in the morning and before the class ends. Okay, it will be discussed later on how to do the goal setting. Okay, every morning po, ipapakita ng mga bata yung kanilang sinet na goals daily with their goal card. And then, at the end of the classes, or before 12 noon, ipapakita po ulit nila yon for us to know if they have finished their goals. Because if they will put pages on that specific subject, that will be their goal. So, it should be finished. It should be done. Kasi yan po yung ating ating dapat ituro sa ating mga anak. Once you have put it there, you have to finish that. Okay? Supervisors are the ones primarily in charge of students' academic questions. They will be available to do a one-on-one discussion via Zoom video conference or any online platform. Okay, pagka may question po ang mga bata or gusto nyong i-contact ang mga supervisor, you can message us directly and then we will discuss to you the lesson or the subject. And if you have question, sasabihin po mamaya kung ano po yung procedure na inyo pong gagawin. Hindi po basta-basta mag-raise ng hands or mag-raise ng pencil during our remote learning center education. Monitors are the ones in charge of checking goals and scoring students' spacework for the day. Okay, that's all for now. Marami pa po tayong mapapakinggan with regards to school forms, the goal setting, how do we do the check-ups, the pace test, the self-test in our child's or children's space, malalaman po natin yan. So please stay tuned, wag po kayong aalis at tapusin po natin ang ating webinar. Good morning to everyone. Thank you po.
Good morning, everyone. Today, I will discuss the School of Tomorrow's forms and materials that we are going to use. So, first is the student's progress chart and stars. So, this chart tracks students' progress by quarter and is posted in any student's office. So, for every pass pace test, a child will be issued a colored star to put in the progress chart to indicate successful completion of pace work and memory verse. Now, the colors that we are going to use for the stars. So, we have a different colors for every subjects. First is gold for mathematics. Next one is red for English. Blue for science. Violet for word building. Silver for Filipino, and green for Araling Panlipunan. Number 2 is the goal card. This is the form that we use in setting our daily goals in 7 curriculum subjects. So we have this for primary level, and this one for intermediate and high school level. The next one is Philippine flag and Christian flag, or also known as the flaglets. During PACE work, if the child has an academic question to his or her supervisor, he or she will raise his or her Christian flag, and the supervisor will attend to his needs. So, ibig sabihin po, kung meron man na mga katanungan po tungkol sa academic ang bawat mga estudyante, so ang i-raise po niya, o itataas po niyang flag or flaglet, ay ang Christian flag. Then, if he or she wants to go outside or excuse himself for a while, he or she will just simply raise his flag, Philippine flag. So he is not allowed to go unless the teacher permits him to do so. So kung siya naman po ay lalabas or i-excuse niya yung kanyang sarili, so Philippine flag naman po ang kanyang itataas. Next one is the congratulations slip. As reward and motivation, the student will be given a congratulations slip with his score in it for successfully completing a PACE. Then, let's proceed to PACES. Again, in implementing the remote learning center education, the students will use a PACE or the packet of accelerated Christian education as their modules, which offers proven and tested self-learning materials. So parents will be issued 2 PACEs per subject. We will ask you to sign a memorandum of agreement regarding proper handling of the PACEs while it is under your care, so as well as confidentiality agreement. So certain copyright laws are still in effect despite of the current circumstances. Once your child or children pass a PACE, they should be issued a new PACE the next day. So, ibig sabihin po, kung natapos po nila sa araw na to, yung PACE na yon, at may oras pa naman, hindi po i-issue ngayon yung PACE, kundi sa kinabukasan pa. So, parents will need to issue the new PACE accordingly to what was agreed at the signed memo at the beginning of the school year. So, please store finished PACE properly, since we will ask you to send back to us the finished PACEs to protect the copyright of the SOT system. So, mangyari lamang po na ingatan ang natapos sa pong PACE ng inyo pong mga anak upang na sa ganon ay ibabalik nyo po ulit nyo sa amin. Ano po? Then, number 3, when accepting or returning PACEs, please follow sanitary practices as recommended by the Department of Health and the Interagency Task Force as you enter the school premises. So please understand that we will not issue the new set of PACEs without the finished PACEs handed back to us. Next is when your child or children fail their PACE test, we will have to do a review or repeat on the PACE material, and they will have to answer using a notebook. So, kung sakali po, pero nawa po hindi naman mangyari, at hindi po naipasa ng inyong mga anak ang PACE test, so sila po ay mag-undergo for review, or di naman kaya, uulitin po nila yung buong PACE material, at ang sagot po ay isusulat nila sa separate notebook. So, hindi na po sila i-issue ng panibagong PACE. So, sa kabuuan po, sa mga magulang, mga estudyante, so nawa po ang bawat isa po ay makipagtulungan upang mas lalo po nating mapaganda at mapagaan ang trabaho ng isa't isa. Since we are in the remote learning center education, and so that's all, and keep safe everyone. So God bless po sa bawat isa.
For goal setting, checking, and scoring, requiring that the students learn how to plan their works and set achievable daily goals give them the responsibility for learning. All rules are followed in the same way as in the learning center. First, goal setting. The goal card is designed for daily entries each week. It is still the school staff's role to make all goal changes, not the student. Take note po, hindi po ang estudyante ang magbabago dun sa kanilang mga goal changes, kundi po yung school staff. Goal cards are to be used and goals are to be checked, completed, and recognized each day. Number 2, experience has taught us that working in 3 subjects each day is a better fit for this remote plan than trying to work the full load. Students can either work through a whole pace or 3 subjects one day and alternate to another 3 that next day. The key here is flexibility. Remember, we are individualized. Number 3, for every new pace, there are goals written on the first page. These goals are to be read aloud by the students with the teacher. The student is not allowed to answer the first page of the lesson unless the goals have not yet read. So, kailangan po bago inisyalan or pirmahan ng inyong mga magulang, kailangan po ito ay nabasa na po ng estudyante. Checking and rescoring. First, every time they reach a score strip, they will raise their pencil. This will serve as a cue. You will let the monitor see the pages that need to be scored on the camera. Then, if the students have mistakes, the monitor will tell the wrong answer that you made, then you will let rescore it. A student will need to follow scoring, correcting mistakes, and rescoring procedure. Scoring will be a first come, first serve basis. Dahil online na nga po tayo, hindi pwede pong sabay-sabay. So, while waiting, students are expected to continue working on their other paces.
Yes, may I help you today?
May I please score my work, sir?
Alright. Number 16 is wrong and the rest are correct. So, ASAP, please correct your mistake and call me again so that we can check your pace. Yes, you may. Okay, show me your face again. Okay, Asaph, it's all correct now. You may proceed to the next page. You're welcome.
Check-ups and self-tests. What is a check-up? A check-up is a formative, non-graded assessment or quiz inside the PACE to test how well the student understands each portion of the PACE. There are 3 check-ups in each PACE. What is a self-test? A self-test is another formative non-graded assessment or long quiz inside the PACE to test how well the student understands the entire concept being taught in the PACE. There is one self-test in each PACE found at the end. Nasa hulihan po ito ng PACE po ng mga bata. The student needs to get at least 90% para po ito sa elementary or 88% para po sa mga high school on this test to move forward. Check-ups and self-tests required a signature. Hindi po pwedeng mag-proceed ka po ng check-up, ng self-test kung ito po ay walang signature. Kailangan po ng signature po ito. Supervisors will review each student by asking some questions before doing the check-ups and self-tests. Then, that's the time the parent can now sign the check-ups and self-tests with the date written on it using green pen and have the student answer all the questions. While doing check-ups and self-tests, the students are not allowed to take a look at the answers of the previous pages. Yung pag nakalimutan po ng mga bata, di ba po, minsan, pwede kong tingnan dahil wala naman si teacher. So, hindi po natin ina-allowed na tingnan po ng mga bata yung mga previous pages na ginawa po nila. Integrity will be developed on the students as they answer their test. That's why the students are not yet to take the test unless they have already mastered the lesson.
I have your initial, please.
Last one po is PACE test. What is a PACE test? A PACE test is a summative graded assessment of the entire PACE. The student need to pass the PT or PACE test before he or she can proceed to the next PACE of each subject. Number 1, once the self-test is done and completed, the child is ready to take the PACE test. The student will hand in their PACEs to their parents or guardians at home before we can let them take the PACE test. Number 2, to ensure the mastery of the lesson, PACE tests could be done orally in front of the camera, or the teacher will let the student see the PACE test on the camera, then will write on a pad paper his or her answer. Number 3, no PACE test the same day as well as the self-test. So, bibigyan po natin ng pagkakataon yung mga bata na ma-review pa po yung kanilang buong PACE, yung mga ginawa po nila. Ayan. Each PACE test that the student will take has a passing score of 85% and above. 85 pataas po. And if the student fails, ito po yung 84 pababa. The supervisor will inform him or her and not letting the child see his or her failed test paper. He or she will repeat the PACE test the following day in order for him or her to review well and be able to pass it on the second time. If the student pass his or her repeat PACE test, his and her total score is -5 points. This is important. We trust the parents' full cooperation to make this work. The finished PACEs cannot be in the student's possession while taking the PACE test because they should not be allowed to take a look at the answer on their finished PACEs anymore.
Yes, may I help you?
May I take my face test, please?
You may take your PACEs now. Okay, very good. Congratulations. You've got a perfect score.
Good morning, our dear parents. To proceed our parent orientation, let's talk about diagnosis, prescription, and projection. Since the SOTP system or School of Tomorrow Philippines system is individualized, staff must determine at which level in each subject every student performs. Diagnostic testing must not be compromised. So take note, diagnostic testing must not be compromised. All transfer students who have not been on the SOTP system or School of Tomorrow Philippines system must be given diagnostic tests in all core and national curriculum subjects to determine their performance levels. Proper diagnosis and prescription are critical for student success. So, okay, let's proceed. Letter B. For our mini classes or known the non-PACE classes. Yan. Mini classes are classes in music, arts, PE, values education, computer, and HELE, and last, TLE. Grades in these subjects depend upon written and or practical tests, completed projects, class participation, and attendance. It will be taught on the second quarter of the school year using Zoom or Google Classroom. And for the secondary level, teachers will make a group chat with all students per level and they will give instructions on daily, weekly activities for the students. For the elementary level, teachers will reach out to parents as well and will give instruction on how to go about the activities per week. Quizzes and final exams are done online. Okay, so let's talk about for the grading system. So thank you and God bless everyone. Stay safe.
Magandang araw po mga minamahal naming mga magulang. In behalf po sa ating Finance Department ng Pag-ibig Christian Academy, we would like to humbly request po yung atin pong mga tuition fees, mga monthly tuition fees po natin ay kung maaari po maging on time po tayo sa ating pagbabayad. Isama po natin sila sa ating mga monthly bills. Huwag po natin silang ilalagay dun sa pinaka-list, yung pinakahuli nating dapat bayaran. Bakit po? Sapagkat ang ating pong paaralan ay mayroon din pong pangangailangan na katulad ng inyong pangangailangan. So upang ang ating pong paaralan ay makapagpatuloy sa paglilingkod sa inyo at sa ating mga anak, kailangan din po ng inyong pagtulong at suporta sa pamamagitan po ng inyong pagbabayad ng inyong mga monthly dues, ng inyong mga tuition fees po ng on time. So, aasahan po namin yan. At pagdating naman po sa ating mga payments, pwede po kayong mag-send through bank. Pwede rin po GCash. Inform nyo lang po kami o si Ma'am Dorcas o ako po kung papadala nyo po sa GCash. At ito po ay mas madali para sa inyo para hindi na po kayo magkaroon ng paglabas at hindi na rin po magkaroon ng mga face-to-face po tayo sapagkat iniwasan nga po natin na magkaroon ng mga ganitong sitwasyon. So, ipadala nyo lang po sa amin yung inyong pong deposit slip o yung reference number upang ito po ay ma-issuehan po natin ng karampatang resibo at ang resibo po ay papadala namin through messenger o kaya po pagkuha nyo po ng inyong mga ang paces po ng inyong mga anak. So, ang issuance po ng ating statement of account ay every 12th of the month po. So, ang due date naman po nito ay every 16th of the month. So, yung pong ating SOA o statement of account ay papadala po ito through messenger. So, wala na naman pong face-to-face na mangyayari doon. So, kung meron po kayong mga katanungan, just PM lang po ako. O kung hindi niyo po ako mahagilap sa pagtawag o sa messenger, pwede niyo pong padaanin kay Ma'am Dorcas. So sa lahat po ng ito ay amin pong pinapasalamatan ang inyong pagsuporta. At kung sakali man pong dumating na hindi po natin makomply yung ating karampatang dapat pong isettle o bayaran, ay magkakaroon naman po kami ng kaukulang ano ba tawag dito? Maaari pong ma-hold yung mga paces po na dapat po nilang gagamitin. Masakit man po sa amin pero magtulungan po tayo para hindi na po tayo dumating dun sa sitwasyon na walang paces na gagamitin yung bata. Sabi ko nga po sa inyo, isama nyo po siya sa inyong monthly bill. So, ang lahat po ng iyan ay malalagpasan natin sa biyaya po ng ating Panginoon. At ang school year po na ito ay punong-puno po ng challenge sa ating lahat, sa inyo po bilang magulang at gayon din naman po sa amin dito bilang mga guro, staff po ng Pag-ibig Christian Ministry. So kami po yung maasa sa inyong pakikiisa at pakikipagtulungan sa lahat ng ito. Sama-sama po tayo sa biyaya ng Panginoon. Kaya po natin ito. God bless you po.
Entrusted to our care, placed within our hearts to love, to nurture and prepare.
As a warrior makes ready his weapons, are we training our children right to stand in faith, to face the wind, to make their mark for Christ? Like arrows in the hand of a warrior, children have been placed in our hands. With so little time to hold them, let us love the children while we can. We must take careful aim as we guide them, then release them to impact the world. They're like arrows in the hand of a warrior.
straight and true.
So each child deserves our attention. Are we willing to take the time to shape the faith and set the course that guides them through their lives? Like arrows in the hand of a warrior, children have been placed in our hands. With so little time to hold them, let us love the children while we can. We must take careful aim as we guide them, then release them to impact the world. They're like arrows in the hand of a warrior. Let them fly, let them soar. Pray that all that we have taught them will point them to the Lord. Like arrows in the hand of a warrior, children have been placed in our hands. With so little time to hold them, let us love the children while we can. We must take careful aim as we guide them, then release them to impact the world. They're like arrows in the hand